Welcome back, everybody. I'm George Niang. This is my co-host, Kevin Spees, a.k.a. The Grill Guy. This is the Bench Sheet Podcast. And today, we're in Vegas, and we have a special guest, the Richard Jefferson.
One and only. My pleasure.
Yes,
it's my
sir.
pleasure to be here with you
Thanks
guys.
for jumping on.
I was lucky enough to do the OG podcast, because I'm saying it's the OG because it
might
actually
be the first.
Yeah, it was around when the first basketball podcast. So shout out to Allie, Richard, and Channing, because they were the originals of doing podcasts, and now it's
Trailblazers.
Now people like us are playing it out.
No. You guys are doing.
10 years
We walked so you guys could run.
Amen to that.
We appreciate you guys so we can laugh at the stupid shit.
Yes. It's like we introduce the world to oh no, athletes just sit around and fuck around. You pay us millions of dollars at 20. What do you think the type of person we are at 29?
Yeah, nobody's ever told us fucking no.
No. And on top of it, we made it. So once you make it, it's like, well, whatever. What do you tell me now? Everyone said I couldn't make it. I make it. I'm always right.
Richard lives his life by his rules. Yesterday I was on his podcast, and we were having some fun, and he just asked me a question, and in the middle of my answer, he got up on camera, walked over, made himself a drink while I was answering, and sat back down.
That's what we pay editors for.
Yeah.
So you learn. It's like, look, this is the thing. You have to have depending on the podcast and depending on the guest, you have to have the perfect, intoxication conversation level. So it's like, you have a drink before. You have a drink in the first half. When that drink is empty, and it's like, we still got 20 minutes. I can't sit there with an empty cup for 20 minutes.
Nightcap.
You can't.
Yeah, no, it's impossible.
So
We don't drink on our podcast. Can we start doing that? Especially, you're in grind season right now.
Yeah.
But I would like. I think I'm going to start drinking.
You should. No. Yeah. This is the thing. There is a lubrication that, as we all know, that comes with alcohol, right? In all facets of life, a great one. So typically, when we started this or we started doing podcasts, it was road tripping. So we would tell our teammates hey, we're just going to have a glass of wine. So what they would do, everybody would come down before we were going to dinner. So we land. You land at 3-4 in the city. We tell them hey, we're going to go record. Dinner's at 8. So let's pop in pregame, have a pregame conversation. And so that's where the drinking wine and hanging out on the podcast, that's
just
where
makes it better.
And then by the end of the podcast, by the end of the podcast, the content, a lot of editing.
Yeah, you're editing. No, this is a safe space.
A lot of editing.
4 bottles of wine. But
everyone's mouth is purple. You're
But that Cavs team, that was when I first got in the league, and when you're a young guy, you hear stories about how the league is, and that Cavs team was known if you were gonna have wine, I would say coming into the league, I'd be Camus was the best wine that I've ever heard of, and they're no, the Cavs you're drinking $1,000 bottles of wine.
But that was Braun. But it's everyone contributed, right?
Everyone had. Everyone's trying to one up the next person.
It wasn't necessarily one up. It was just more of don't you just come over here and drink all our shit and don't ever bring some or don't bring some bullshit. And then you let me get another glass of that. And then it's
Lord. No.
I'll tell you, Kyle Korver. He so we won in 16. He joins the team in 17. And Kyle, nicest human being ever, great dude. So Kyle, he joins our team, and he's now into it. And he's looking around. He's I was like, "What's up, Kyle?" He's like, "I've seen guys drink on their way home from a trip. I've never seen guys drink on their way to a trip." So we'd be leaving Cleveland, going to Dallas. All of a sudden, there's be bottles of fucking wine, and Kyle is just
what's going on here?
And I was it's back and forth. It's both ways, going and coming.
I can't fly without drinking. I cannot do it.
Wow.
Because, I do it once in a while if I have to. I'm a nervous flyer. So, I have to have a little flight juice. Again, lubrication. It just eases
Lowers
the
your
nerves down a
inhibitions.
little bit. And it's always the same thing. I never drink it anywhere else, but it's the only thing I drink at the airport, and it's Jack and Coke.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
It's weird, but it's just what I guess to have.
Have you thought about talking to someone about this?
It's not
this
good.
is a safe space. So
RJ went to Arizona, so tequila's got to be in your rotation.
You know what? The problem with where I went. It was really just the school is a frat house. The entire school is not. It's just. And so you learn. But the positive thing about learning in those environments is that you learn how to handle your shit, right? Like I've had some days where it was like I found, I think I forgot this party. I found like some Everclear and I was fucking 19 years old. And I was like, that's the stuff that everyone's talking about. And I'm already gone. I'm like, let me go. Bro, I was hungover for 2 days. I thought I was going to die. This is not an exaggeration. I threw up there, blacked out, like all the things. And then in that moment, you make a decision. It's like, oh, okay, no, this is a real thing that I need to make sure, like, okay, you can have 2 beers, you can have this, but let's not just go, let's do
meet the line. You meet the line and you're like, I don't want to meet that line again. I don't want to go over that line again.
No. Well, you played 17 seasons in the NBA, so you well-traveled.
Yes.
When did you kind of realize, to pick your spots with the drinking and having a good time? Because a lot of people don't know, yes, it is an 82-game season. It's long, and we take games extremely serious, but there also is time, on the road when you're on like a five-game, 12-day road trip where there's time to – when in your – career, was it early that you found your spots, or were you just like reptile and figured it out?
There. I would say this. There's 2 stages. There's 2 stages to it. So when I came in the league, I was like the 6th man off the bench. Yeah. We had a good team, but it was like I just sprinted and tried to dunk the ball. That was my defense, sprint and dunk. I wasn't shooting. They were running plays for me. It was like, your job is to wake up and sprint, dunk anytime he throws you the ball, and then play fucking defense. That's your only job. And so I was like, okay, I could do that. And I could also do it hungover.
When did you figure that out?
I figured it out because you didn't drink like that in college. You weren't drinking night before. The NBA, there's just too many games.
It's a different level.
It's a 2-game
at all fast.
But so for me, it was like I got drafted like 2 months before 9/11. I know I'm old, right? I got drafted, and then I moved to New York. So New York was really dead. It was like the first 8-9 months was like really, the fall and all. It was bad. And so
everybody was into baseball.
Everybody was like really like support. So it was like it wasn't the scene. The New York scene wasn't New York. So like after that, I like started playing. I became a starter my second year. And it was like, okay, I don't go out nights before games. This is still pre-social media, but it was more of like a responsibility. Like, I don't go out the night before a game at home.
You had a flip phone back
then. Yeah, flip phone. Motorola. Had a 2-way pager. Had a 2-way pager. It was like, look, I'm not going to go out the night before games ever at home because you don't know who you're going to run into. Right. Like, that's just like, don't do that. And then when I got on the road, it's like, okay, I will go do that. So typically you learn that space. And then the next thing I realized is when I started playing major minutes, when I went from like a guy that was like, I went from 9 points to like 35. Yeah. When you go from that, no.
It's a big difference on your body.
Because it's like, and you aware, like after the game and you just played 43 minutes,
you're like dehydrated.
But it's like intense because I feel like the first 3 quarters during a regular season game it's like in a boxing match. Like you're just feeling each other out, it's jabs. Now, every 4th quarter of every close game in the regular season, I feel like it's like playoffs.
It's physical.
This matters. If someone's like, all right, you were busting my ass for 3 quarters, now it's time for me to turn it on. So 25 minutes, you're probably only playing like 3-4 minutes into the 4th quarter. If you're playing 35 to 40,
minutes,
you might be playing the whole 4th quarter or the last 8 minutes when it's like,
God forbid it goes to overtime, then you're like, oh shit, I just played 40 minutes. And if you're hungover,
were you in New York when Channing was here?
Yeah, no. So no. How about this? You'll like this.
Why do you say
this is why it's funny.
Him and Channing Frye in New York at how old? 21.
I was 23 or 4 when he got there. It was best because this would happen. So I was living in New York. I had a loft in New York. I'd signed my big deal with the Nets. Channing's coming out for the draft, supposed to be a top 10 pick.
I got you, young fella.
Luke and all of our boys all come out to New York to celebrate Channing, right? So Luke Walton's there, all of our Arizona boys, all of our crew is there because they're like, we can stay at Rich's house, we can do this.
And you're literally a college kid. You're still because you're 23.
What the fuck?
Ton of college kid with tons of money. Yeah.
I signed a $76 million deal.
Yeah.
And so like now that's like low mid level.
That's big. Back then, 20 years ago, that's big money. Yeah.
Channing gets drafted by the Knicks. So it's just like,
insane.
Let's go. So we fucking raged. Not only did we rage, but like we're like, no, Channing, we got it. We know he's a millionaire now. We're like, give us your card. man, we swiped his card. So it was like kind of initiation. We swiped because he'd been eating off of us for years. Like he had been eating and drinking off of us. Me, Luke, Luke was in the league. He was with the Lakers, so he'd been eating off of us. So it was kind of just like here, and then his card started getting declined, and then we took care of it. But no, he slept.
His Tucson credit.
He slept on my couch. Like they would come because the Knicks, they're in like Westchester in that area. So he would come to the city, be like, Rich, I'm coming in. I was like, bro, come on in.
Oh my God, I can imagine. What were the places you went to in New York at that time? Was it like One Oak? One Oak huge?
Listen, man, I don't know how the age of your listeners, because you know what? I've truly believe this. You can move in a way that nobody ever fucks with you, right? I walk in, they know me. And I was a club rat in my 20s. It was like, I want my table, we're going to drink. But then we would often leave and go back to my house because I had a loft in Tribeca. Yeah. So we would invite everyone back. Let me tell you a fucked up thing. I signed my deal in the fall. We play in the season. In February, I tear up my wrist, right? So I tear my wrist off, gone. Yeah. So they're like, you got to have surgery. And it's like a 4 month, 2 months.
What part of the season was it?
It was January. See, so you're knowing where I'm going, right? So I just got my deal. I'm living in my apartment. And in January, they tell me that I'm done until September.
Oh, so you're
game.
Fucked
off. Oh my God. We went out every single, because it's like you're depressed because it was like I was averaging 22 a game. I'd never had a major injury like that. It was like I had a chance to make the All-Star game, so I'm fucking depressed about that. Yeah. But I have my deal, and I got a long leave, and it was on my left wrist, so you can't even work out. You can't run. I can't shoot. I can't do shit. I'm like, what the fuck?
You're just cooked for a few months.
You're just cooked.
Yeah.
Oh,
that would be a bad injury for me.
I was in a bad spot, but we had a good time in that stretch.
It's funny because it's like that was a golden age of New York too, like early 2000s.
No social media was big.
Social media. All the rappers, like the Yankees,
everybody was out. That's what people don't understand. It's like, especially after post 9/11, it was kind of like a weird energy. So once you got to 2003, 2004, people felt comfortable popping bottles and stuff. But it was like, again, we don't name drop, but it was just the people that would come over for an after party because they
It's New York.
And it's New York.
It's not just basketball. This is
it's actors, actors, it's musicians, and it's just more of hey, we're all going back to Rich's, and there's okay, you come back, and it's just my place was just like a bachelor pad. I had two of my boys. It was just an open New York loft, elevator opened up, so you would just come in, and it was just and everyone would just fucking hang out, drink, and just fucking party. But you could do that because there wasn't anybody in there taking pictures.
Yeah, I know.
So motherfuckers would be wilding out.
I can only imagine the shit that could have gone on some people's cell phones back then. It reminds me of
you did it right, bro.
Yeah, it's that video of LeBron when he has that flip phone at the wrestling or whatever. That's the best you could get.
But when you think about when you take a step back and peel back the onion of your career, your life, you always done the extreme. You did that, right? Then you fucking played 17 seasons, which I'm going into year 9, and it's you feel that. And it's not like I've ever played 35 minutes a night. And I'm like, damn, this motherfucker did it for 17. And then your ass is gonna get on TV. Like we talked about yesterday, you'll say anything to anyone's face and say it on camera. And then what does this motherfucker do 4 years ago? He decides to ref. What the fuck?
Can you talk
what
about
is
how
wrong with you? Do you just get a high off just doing extreme shit? He's probably going skydiving.
No. That's life changing. Listen, I don't like to do anything that can change my quality of life. Skydiving, some shit could go wrong, and I will not be budgeting
spend this money.
My money. That's what I'm saying. Bro, no.
Did they ask you to ref this year?
Okay,
you did a couple years ago, right?
I've always, when you're in this league, and I was taught early from J Kidd, hey, introduce yourself to the ref. So and I fucking talk to everybody. So I would fuck with them, make fun of them. And then when I retired, they were like, hey, this is what it was. I did I went to the combine and I just went through the combine to fuck around, and they tested my numbers to see how I compare to this shit. So the referees the NBA was like, hey, we have this idea. What if you they have a referee symposium right now here at Summer League. So they go in there and they all test and they all do a course, and it's just this big conference. And then they go do Summer League games and they get graded, and those guys have opportunities to go to NBA, WNBA. So it's a bunch of refs. So like, what if you come for like a week? So I went to classes every day for a week just to learn. It wasn't like they're teaching me how to ref because all these guys know how to ref. Yeah. They were just breaking down like stuff and different things.
Look for this,
and like So I go, when I tell you, bro, that was maybe the most stressful thing I've ever done because I hadn't been on an NBA court since I was a player. Yeah. Now I'm on the ref. ESPN has one camera pinned on me. We're doing the damn Knicks. They hate me. Their entire fan base hates me. I am so nervous, bro. When I tell you,
you were really nervous for real.
Fuck yeah, bro. I was so nervous, man. And it was like and it's like, dude, there were like I got fans yelling at me.
Were the coaches giving you shit?
No, because they know it's a shtick, right?
Some undrafted motherfucker was probably like,
what the fuck, bro? Trying to like fucking get
make no mistake.
Here.
Some people, it gets lost. Like I only did one quarter, and I kid you not, bro. I was counting down that quarter. Like, all right, we're at the 6-minute mark. Where it's like, don't trip. Yeah. If I trip and fall, if I bump somebody, if I do something I didn't even know the calls, bro.
Oh my God.
They don't teach. They weren't like, okay, this is a traveling call. And it was just like, bro, it was so stressful. I will never do that shit again.
The talk around it is like that you wanted to go be a ref. Like you were like,
they don't make enough. They don't make enough money. They don't make enough money, and that's no disrespect. They make a very good living, but I like my current job.
Yeah, of course, you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Smush Parker though he refs my corporate league games in New York City all the time.
Yeah,
and he's very open. He's like, oh yeah, I'm trying to I want to be the first ref that played in the NBA to
he would not be the first though.
Oh, he wouldn't.
He didn't know. There were guys that came. There was Hayward Workman. Okay. There was some
there's a history.
There's like probably like 2 or 3 guys that have done it, right? Yeah. But it was but he would be in this modern day. We haven't had one.
Yeah, the biggest.
Yeah, but it's hard work, man. Like people don't understand. Those dudes are psycho.
Yeah,
like they have to have that mindset of like what I'm looking at, my job, how I call. Like I don't care about ref. I don't care about anything else other than this.
Dude, I'm so insecure. All I would care about is everybody else.
It's not a job.
That's the problem, though. Yeah. Because think about some of the worst shit you probably said to someone.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Like, what have you said to a ref?
I told it on this podcast before, but like I was having a fucking rough game and I fucking went down the lane. It was like the game was over, but I missed the layup and it like one of those ones where it's just you look bad, you do the slow trot back and I'm running by the ref. I'm like, can I get a fucking call? And he looked at me.
Yeah,
he was like, "Good, just 1 second."
Is that what he did?
Oh my God!
He got you with that.
I forgot who it was, but I was just like, "You're a fucking idiot." And people don't understand. Like this is $2,500 down the drain.
Yeah.
And this year I got 13 of them. So
God damn, what's the math on that?
How do you
we
get
talked
13?
about it yesterday? What Doc say?
Mix it up. No, but people don't. So Charles Oakley, right? Charles Oakley.
By the way, our modern day NBA couldn't handle Charles Oakley.
Oakley legend. Oakley legend. But Rod Thorne, guy that drafted me, was a GM for the Nets, Hall of Famer. Rod Thorne used to run like the NBA fines for. He used to run the NBA fines. So he called Oakley. He called Oakley one time, and Oakley was clubbing people or doing some shit, and he was like, Oak, you can't keep doing this. I'm gonna have to keep fining you and blah blah. And Oak said, if I don't do this, then they don't pay me and I don't get to be. So I'm doing this for my job. This is how you do it. So you can keep sending those fines, but just know overhead. My role is, in hockey, they call him a goon, right? And in basketball, they call him an enforcer. So he's like, this is my job. So I will accept the fines. I'll pay the $100,000 fine because I'm making $2 million.
Yeah. Imagine that business decision.
Yeah, so I get it, bro. Hey, it's okay. Draymond the same way.
Yeah, and made a whole career about it. And
dude, his fine total is like above $2 million, and like
a career fine. Is he the most ever? Because I know Rasheed Wallace has got to be up there too, right?
No, because the problem with Draymond is he has suspensions. Rasheed never got suspensions like that. He took it to the edge. He got technicals. Might get like suspended, but like Draymond's getting suspended. 5 games.
But like what Sheed was doing, he was kind of the enforcer, and now I think the only problem, you could tell me if I'm wrong, is like Draymond gets on like social media or his podcast, so it almost like adds fuel to the fire where the NBA is like, because they just a business, like it's an image, and so when he's on social media, like can't nobody change Draymond? Only Draymond can be Draymond. I'm like, I respect it, but
let me say this: I love Draymond.
Oh,
I fucking love him. I love him. And it was like all of the people that, in my opinion, were critical of Draymond were out of, at least from in my space, like I can't speak for everyone, my criticism of him was, bro, you're too important to the game. You are a legacy player in this league. Like your behavior will echo forever. So you have to be aware of those things. And that was the hardest part watching him go through that stuff. It's just like, bro, that's not basketball.
Yeah.
Like we've never watched that. You've never watched that. You've never seen that.
Yeah.
Like that's not, and to have it happen, the stomp on the chest, the choking Rudy Gobert, the kicking in the, like Dre, like come on. And then people want to sit up here and be like, oh, well, the only reason why the fucking Cavs won in 2016 is because Draymond suspended. It's like, have you not seen his behavior for the last No shit, it's his fault. 100%. They were the fucking greatest team, regular season team we'd ever seen. And be like, don't tell us that, like, oh, your championship, because Draymond's like,
sorry,
he's still doing it. And the only reason why he got suspended was because of the behavior from the first round to the second round.
Like
It was accumulation of things. But the problem for Dre, and this is the thing, is that he needs to be that guy for the Warriors. He just doesn't need to be 10. He needs to be 8.
Yeah. It's a weird,
he needs, his 10 is different. His 10 is different.
And he's a guy that like coming from college, he was the man at Michigan State.
Stud.
And so now he's like, he is one of the few people that you could look at and be like, and this is coming from a fan, obviously, but it's like he changed his role as a basketball player and became the best ever at whatever it is he does. So it's like, how can you tell him to turn it off? Because that's how he got to be the Michael Jordan.
People forget that David Lee was ahead of him in Golden State.
Yeah,
and
I was there in Golden State.
Was a fucking problem.
Yeah.
David Lee does whatever does to his hamstring. Yeah. And I just remember Draymond Green came in and fucking they never left.
They went, and the way he was playing and how smart he was and the way they played, it was like, so when David Lee was coming back, they were like, hey, David, like, we're going to keep going. We're in first place. It's the best we've ever played. Like, we're going to keep going.
Time to get that hamstring.
And then, and then David Lee, people don't know this about him. He's a bit of a agitator, but he's more of like the
But he was making $19 million a year.
But he's one of the whisper agitators.
Oh, not to your face, like
the whispers. Yeah. And let me just shout out my boy Draymond, because he tried to do some of those whispers. And Draymond wasn't whispering and shut that shit down.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And then David Lee was out of there. And the rest is history. And the rest is history. Because like we were talking yesterday, I'm like, I will never say anything that I would not say to their face. Right, now I'm a sarcastic asshole, so you know it. Yeah. Do we toe those lines? Yeah. But there's certain people that like to do the whisper game and we should do this.
He sucks. Yo, what's up?
What's up? Yeah. It's like, see, man, I don't really fuck with it like that.
Business, as they would say.
Draymond heard those whispers, shut that shit down loudly, and then the rest
gaining the respect of all the. You were on that team too, weren't you?
I was on the team with Draymond and D. Lee, but I left. I was in Dallas, and then they had that year they lost to the Clippers, fired Mark Jackson, brought in Steve Kerr. That's when David Lee got hurt at the start of the season. It was Steve Kerr's first year, and then they took off from there and they won the championship.
Did you see a little bit of the championship pedigree? Like, were you, because Clay was on the team then too? No,
absolutely. I wouldn't say no. I saw good, hardworking young men.
But you didn't think like,
no. You can't see. Yeah. I didn't, like my first year. I got traded Clay's rookie year, but it was like at the deadline. So we started the next year, and that's when Steph broke the original 3-point record, but wasn't an all-star that year.
Right.
David Lee was the all-star. So he kind of like peaked as the season continued.
Yeah.
And it was like, you're like, oh, okay, this is different. But I saw a group of dudes that were fucking tough, different, and that was it. So was I surprised to see them? Yeah. No, I won't say surprised. No jump shooting team had ever done it.
Yeah.
So to see them have that stretch, get there and actually pull it off, you're like, oh, okay.
Damn, it could happen.
The rest of the shit, and then them fucking becoming an absolute storm.
Yeah.
You know, Kevin Durant also helped in that shit.
Yeah, for sure. Did you see, sorry, I didn't mean to jump you off. You were also on Denver with Jokic and Murray. And Jokic was even starting when you were there?
No, yeah, Jokic was. Jokic was becoming Jokic.
But they had Jokic and Nurkic, right?
No, so I got there. Nurkic had already been gone. They decided Jokic was going to be a starting center. They brought in Paul Millsap, Jamal Murray.
Well, Paul Millsap was a dog. I used to love watching him.
But
got that 3 for 90.
Yeah. But credit Denver. They recognized that Jokic needed an athletic, versatile power forward. They had Jeremy Grant. They had Paul Millsap. They have Aaron Gordon, and that's just like a key. Like when you're watching like the basketball, like kind of like culture, you're like, oh, they know what he needs next to him, right? And they have found it in 3 different players, and they've all.
We were saying that like Aaron Gordon reinvigorated the dunkers position, which like is gone in basketball. You feel like in that little
because in basketball you got to double Jokic with size, right? And now you're doubling Jokic on size, and he's passing to someone that can
someone down low. Yeah.
Now let me ask you this, because this is a conversation that we have off air. Yesterday, Jalen Brunson gave up a lot of money, signing his extension. He left like 100.
You might have been on the bourbon when this happened.
Yeah.
What happened?
I
haven't even been on the internet.
He signed an extension and left essentially like $113 million on the table. And you've been on winning teams. You've been on teams that have come close. And you've also been on teams that have won a championship. Nowadays, I feel like the MO of the NBA is, fuck it, take the money, figure it out later. What is your thought process? Because you've been in multiple contract negotiations. Are you leaving money on the table? How is your thought process going when guys do things like this?
Okay, so there's two sides that you should evaluate this. One, so he just signed like a 2-year extension?
No. He signed a 4-year
extension.
But if he waited another year.
If he waited to the end of the year.
5, and it would have been 100.
Oh, yeah. Wait, if the money would have gone up, or it would have been 1 more year?
It would have been 1 more year, and it would have been 100
percentage increase.
Yeah.
This is what I would say. You should, one, always take the money. Always. Like,
you heard it here first, guys.
Always take the money. And also, you have to look at who you are, right? Kevin Durant can suffer an Achilles injury, and he'll be fine.
He'll get
because
another
he's
contract.
6'11" with a ridiculous skill set. If you're a 6'2" guard, right? Like we saw Isaiah Thomas. We've seen guys like John Wall be here, and then it just guards. It's tougher.
Yeah.
If you lose a little bit.
Speed
is gone. And you've seen it, even like, unless you had a great skill set like a Chris Paul or a Rondo, it's hard to extend, but like you've seen guys. So I would say this, if, coming off an injury, playing for Tibbs and all those minutes, it's like, fuck it, let me get my bag. And he did, quote unquote, take less money. Not less money. He was on a team friendly deal.
Yeah.
So now he gets to be like, okay, I've put in my time. Here's my money, and now there's no stress. I think we saw Klay Thompson. People forget when there is no money stress, especially if you don't look at other people's pockets. Like, man, I signed this deal, and now he's making this.
Yeah.
And
you're good with what you got.
I was like,
be cool with it.
I'm cool with what I got.
Yeah.
Like
100 plus will do that to you.
And,
bro, 150 million. It's like, and he's probably going to sign another contract if he stays healthy. So it's like, how much is he really leaving on the table, you would think?
But he's got to be, okay, how old is Brunson now? 26?
27. Yeah.
So he just signed a 4-year extension.
So 31 or 32. Yeah.
No, because he still has 2. He's got this year and another year?
No, I think, you're right, he does.
So that's what I'm saying. You're talking about like, okay, this is going to take him to 33. With all due respect, if you're a littler player, that's not Jalen Brunson, smaller players, not like built like Ja or not like a Jason Kidd. Like he is a grind type player.
Yeah.
That shit that's hard to do at 35 years old to be that type of guard.
100%.
My question is, like, from the outside looking in, will other NBA players like feel a type of way about him not taking the money? Because does it set a precedent, or are they not really thinking like that?
No, don't pocket watch. Don't
okay.
ever And if you are that type of dude,
keep it to yourself.
That's your shit.
Yeah.
Right? Like people fucking talk about like how much money and did this. Oh, Richard, and I'm like, man. It goes in waves, man. Every generation is going to benefit. We put in work so the next generation could benefit. Michael Jordan, like I've made more in career earnings on the court than Michael Jordan did.
Right.
Like, what the fuck? Right? Like, but because I came up and he put in that work and then we benefited. So the LeBron and the Steph and all of these guys, that next generation of Luka that signs $100 million a year contract.
That's insane.
$100 million a year contract, which is coming in the next 7 years.
That's crazy.
Like, Bron can't sit back and be like, oh, these bum asses. It's like, there's always some like, damn, but there's still like a, hey, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm fine.
Every generation is going to say about the next generation, I wish I made that money. You know?
I don't know where this shit caps, man. Like I think I forgot who it is. Luka, if he maxes out and does something, like he's going to be making like 79 or somewhere.
Yeah, they said Shea could get 80 a year.
So then you're talking about $1 million per game. $1 million. Imagine.
I got to get to the gym.
Imagine like getting suspended for 10 games or 5 games.
Oh,
you'd be like, what the
$5 million. Like that's what I'm saying. Shea will never throw a punch.
Yeah. Never. That's why.
Is that why you think no one's really fighting in the NBA? Because you hear all the time on podcasts, no one fights in the NBA because it's like, who's giving up that bread? Is that really?
It's not worth it. But the problem with it is that one of my OGs said the problem with the NBA now is that you got rid of the bullies, or you got rid of the goons, but the bullies stayed.
Yeah.
So the bullies stayed. So there's guys like, we can say Draymond or this little motherfucker over here. Is that
but there's dudes that don't do any talking.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we can skip the talking. Like,
and that's
those are the dudes that you're like, I'm
all set.
Yeah.
I'd rather talk a little more.
Yeah. But that's what it is. It's like you used to have guys like, oh, you're gonna do this, then we can go fight, or we can do this. Yeah. But then it's like you get the guys that then become like tough warriors on the court. Yeah. Right? They become in between the lines, and then it's like,
no, Parker line.
No, come on, man, it's just hoop. I was just trying to get you out. He's like,
I wonder if that happens on intra squad too, because you hear about like stories of like teams having fights. So like at practice they're going crazy.
In practice is different because like there ain't no like they ain't. Practice
I've never seen a fight in practice.
Well, you have. You've seen film of it. You've seen film of one.
Yeah, we all have.
Go home.
Go home,
man.
No. All kidding aside, in your 9 years, you've never seen a fight in practice.
I can't remember one. But you got to think about it. I was in Indy. There wasn't really much going on. Then Golden State for training camp. Then Utah for 4 years, which is they're not letting any dickheads in at the door.
Yeah.
Philly.
I've probably seen hands raised like 5 or 6 times.
Really?
Yeah, not necessarily blows. I've seen blows. Yeah. I've been a part of one.
Were you in Denver with Kenyon Martin?
I know I was in Jersey with Kenyon, and me and Kenyon got into a fight there.
Did you?
But that was my brother, though.
I heard
that was my
brother. The wrong one.
Oh, 1,000%.
I heard he's a 1-2.
They're not allowed to talking. They're not allowed to talking with Kenyon.
Respect Kenyon.
Yeah, they're not allowed talking with the. But that's what I'm saying. Like, if there was a guy that was like, talking that shit, like guys like Kenyon, which they don't exist anymore, Kenyon would 1-2 you, and that would be the end.
It. And then it keeps people from talking shit.
Yeah,
really.
and it keeps people. It's like, yo, we can keep this basketball. We can turn this something else. Yeah. And they look at me like, well, let's just play basketball.
Yeah, I'm all set with the talking.
I don't
actually,
do that anymore.
Speaking of basketball, and yesterday we did top 5 all bad body team.
We got some.
Wow, what do you guys got for me?
This is top 5. You and I are both, we have something in common. We're both bald athletes.
Shiny shit.
Yeah. I scored 34 points in a men's league game.
Congratulations.
It was a running clock also, so George has seen the highlights. He thinks I'm pretty good. These are the top 5. So it's a blind ranking. So you got 1 through 5 spots. You're going to pick these guys and just give them like.
Let's go.
You know what I'm saying? You know how it goes. All right, first guy is not me. It is. I don't know who it is. I don't remember.
I love it. You got,
So 1 through 5.
Wait,
are you a wrestling guy?
Come on, yes.
Okay.
And my kids just got into it. They're 7 and 9. They just got into it.
Body slam.
Bro, no, I body slammed them before, but they just found WWE and they're like, Daddy, the yeet.
Oh, yeah, they're big right now. Yeah.
Like, they see the dude. Yeah, and I kid you not, bro. I kid you not. I never like, I hadn't watched it, and we know our people. You grow up on it, then you get out of it. Then all of a sudden, my kids are like, Daddy, because one of their friends watched, like, Daddy, can we watch this? Can we watch this? And I'm like, oh, hell yeah.
You go on Peacock and show the classics.
Dude, they had a ladder thing, and I fucking where they got it like the where they climb ladders to get this thing. And my kids were watching it, and they were hyped. They see Yeet out there, and I'm like, who is this Yeet dude?
Into it a little
I'm into it now. I'm like, bro, Monday Night Raw, boys, sit down. It's time. So yes, he gets 1 out of 5. Wait, 1.
Yeah,
5,
so 1 through 5. So where are you going to put him? You put him at. You pick the spot.
I'm guessing. I don't know the rest.
You don't know the rest, so you got to see. Like,
that's. I'm gonna go 3. I'm gonna go 3.
That's solid.
That's solid. 3.
316. So cold Steve Austin.
We'll give him 3.
Splashing them beers together. I'm like, Mom, why is he splashing the sodas together? That's not soda.
His beer, by the way, a free plug. His beer is fucking good.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
The IPA. Okay, the second one.
Oh,
Balding. balding, and an athlete.
I would say Mr. Miyagi.
He's 5 for me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it depends what your ranking is.
You gotta understand, I'm 43. So like for
This is
him,
your wheelhouse,
he was.
This was your wheelhouse.
Oh, he was. Everybody, like dojos were being opened up all around America because of Mr. Miyagi, bro. It was like karate became a thing. Like he was more
Motherfuckers wasn't too
it was like
karate.
it was like Bruce Lee and him are like the two most impactful karate people.
The chopsticks. Everyone was trying to grab. My dad still tries to grab flies.
Bro, it's next level. Next level. I'll give him 5. I don't know what
you don't know what's got next. You may regret that, but who knows? We'll see. All right, who do we got next? We have Rod Tidwell, fictional athlete.
4. Who's that, JB?
4. That's 4. It looks like JB bald head. I give it 4. Rod Tidwell. Cuba. Not aging as strong as he should. We need our
Can we replace? This is 5.
This is definitely 5.
We gotta say 5. This is why the blind rankings.
This is the blind rankings.
You fucked this up.
Quick anecdote. Well, I purposely put him on there. He used to come into the bar I worked at in New York and would like sit by himself.
Yeah, he'd drink.
And he gets handsy. And he got handsy with my wife.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah. She said no.
It's a fucking
My wife didn't bang Cuba Gooding Jr.
Babe. Did you watch?
Yeah, my wife did bang. I made him say, "Show me the money."
Did he say yes?
Yeah, he said. Okay, so we're replacing him with 5. Okay, I agree.
Ooh, Kimbo Slice.
This is a street legend.
Kimbo Slice.
Rest in peace.
Again, I'm gonna go. I'll give him a 2. I'll give him a 2 because that's the number that's left.
Because you wouldn't want to get knocked
I wouldn't want to fight with him. God, yeah.
You want to see what's on 1? Because are you banking that you're going to be in there on 1?
No, I was not. I was not counting that. Am I? If I am, then I've done this list fucking perfectly. It wouldn't change the thing. It wouldn't change the thing.
Okay, let's see.
All right, this
is 5th.
Oh, Butterbean.
Another
Butterbean's again. Who did you guys just go
this
through?
Was
90s bald people? Is that what the fuck you guys did?
I try to get in your wheelhouse.
There's no
I try to get in your wheelhouse.
Like the fact that I know, and most people won't even know who Butterbean is. But if you
Punch
do,
Out. There was a character.
Google Johnny Knoxville and Butterbean.
Oh God, yes.
The jackasses made a mistake.
And then did you know he went through the Diamond Dallas Page yoga thing too? Like he couldn't walk a couple years ago.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, it's
we didn't that dialed in on Butterbean, but
yeah.
Thanks for the Wikipedia.
I think that's the last one, Butterbean. So we have Butterbean at 1. If you could redo it, who would you put at 1? Stone Cold
at 1. Then I would put Mr. Miyagi at 2.
And then the rest.
Butterbean at 3, Kimbo Slice at 4, and then Cuba Gooding at 5.
We'll keep Tidwell at 5.
We'll keep Tidwell at 5. Yeah. Next time, can we update this? Don't make it so dated. None of your fucking viewers.
Nobody's bald. LeBron James should be bald, right?
Bro, there's other bald people.
Yeah, you can even put Michael Jordan up there.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, well, I didn't want to go with obvious ones.
Yeah, fuck basketball.
Yeah, obvious ones. I wanted to go with ones that weren't obvious.
Well, okay, RJ, we appreciate you coming on.
You guys, man.
This is awesome. The original of the podcast game road trip, and over 1,000 episodes, right?
Yeah, something like that.
We're on like 20,
I don't
but
know. It's not 1,000. It's like,
now we know the secret. Bring a little wine,
drink some wine,
edibles, and loosen some people up. By the end, you get great content.
And this is what I would say: there's different styles of podcasts, obviously. There's some that are guest driven I get it. Like that's it. Yeah. But there's also a level of like, hey, we're gonna talk about what's important. We're gonna talk about our hoop. We're gonna talk about this. Just tell your stories. Enjoy that. This should be an outlet, not something that you're just like, oh, what can I get from it? Right.
Yeah,
we didn't get paid to do our podcast for the first years. 3-4 years. We didn't even know what we were doing. We just had fun.
Hey, put that thing up in there.
Like, we didn't fucking have a YouTube channel. We weren't doing all the things. Now we're smarter now. And everyone's into the space, and you should be smarter about it. But just enjoy it, man. It's like that's what
he doesn't like when I tell stories because I don't know if you know this, but I was a high school
You said he doesn't like when I tell stories and then proceed to tell a story.
That's exactly what I did.
I got fucking pissed off. You saw me over here. No words.
He doesn't like when I tell stories. So here's one.
So here's a fucking.
I preface all my stories. And so now we got to tell more stories. I think that's the takeaway we're getting from
RJ.
Yeah, no problem, man. Well, now I have to go. I'm late to go talk to your coach.
Oh, well.
All right. Well,
tell him I said hello.
We'll have a drink later.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us here on the Bench Seat Podcast. I'm George Niang. This is Kevin Spees.